in the town of Marcos. And this area is part of the Guayabitos area. In other words, you'll have the towns of Guayabitos, Los Ayalas, El Monteon, and right here in Marcos. And all these areas have flat plains. And if you remember in all my, I guess, dissertations about finding lost civilizations, one of the things that I said was that when the Spaniards arrived here, within 100 years, over 95% of the indigenous population died. And they died because of disease for the most part. Many died because of slavery and warfare. But what would happen was the whole villages would disappear. You know, an epidemic would hit, influenza, measles, smallpox, and the whole village would die. And what would happen is all the implements that people used to live would be found laying on the ground. So all these areas, if you go to El Monteon, if you go to Los Marcos, all the farmers over here, as they start cultivating the fields, they find all these objects that were left behind by the village. As I said, a whole village would die, so all the implements would be left there. All the cooking implements would be there, the manos, the metates, everything would be left there in place. And as the new people came along, they would find these things and they would grind them up, or they would recultivate the fields. But I'm going to show you an example. For example, there right next to me is a house. When they built this house, all the implements that they found that the Indians left behind, where the villages disappeared, that were laying on the ground, were now, we have a truck going by here, were incorporated into the house, so to speak. I'm going to show you something over here. Look at this over here. When this house was built over here, this house was built by a local contractor. And what the local contractor did is all these things that are found by the hundreds laying on the ground over here was incorporated in the structure. This here is the back end. These are the legs of what's called a metate. Here's a grinding stone. This is called a mano. There's another metate. This whole structure, this whole fence line, the outside of the house is inlaid with these manos and metates. Right over here, let me show you this. Here again is the backside of a metate. Okay. Here's another backside of a metate. This is the front side of the metate. And here's another one. This is another front side of the metate. Now I've been in this house and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of pieces of manos and metates. And these are the implements that the Indians used to cook with. Now, all these items here were found in a field. So, I mean, there's literally thousands and thousands of these pieces laying on the ground, laying in the hills, laying all over the place. So literally all one has to do is walk the field. Not only are these items found in the fields, but if you go to the farmers' homes, they're laying about the houses, either on a courtyard or up against the house, used as a trough for chickens and pigs or whatnot. So it's very incredible. As I said, the interesting thing, excuse me, to remember is that whole civilizations disappeared, and when they died off, all their implements were simply left there laying on the ground. And this is sometimes hard for people to believe. How can all these things be found here? One of the things that I saw was a map of Nueva Galicia, which is what this area was called when the Spaniards arrived. And in this map, they showed hundreds and hundreds of villages, all up in these valleys and these hills of Nayarit. So can you imagine a whole civilization, a whole culture disappearing within 100 years, and everything that they lived with, everything that they worked with was simply left behind on the ground. And this is why these things can be found today by the hundreds, if not by the thousands. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of this house and a good example of what can be found just laying here in the field.
fragments.